We're still live here on The Point of View, and it's a big show today because there was drama at the Spintex home of MP for Ashanti South, the Reverend John Intim-Fojo, because security officials, we are not sure where they are from, went to his house ostensibly to arrest him. The minority 88 were there to say, we ain't having none of that. One of the key people who were there, both at the residence and in the meeting, which sort of resolved the matter, is my next guest, Kojo Ponkrumah, former minister for many things, information, works and housing, MP for Fancy and Rebi in his, your fourth or third term? Third term. So you were at Intim-Fojo's house today.
Yes.
And in the meeting as well. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
How is he? Is he okay?
Oh, he's fine. In very good spirits.
In very good spirits. Okay. Before I come to you, I need to do a quick sort of summary of how we got here. So my colleague Fred Duho was at the residence of Intim-Fojo, but before he even talked about what he saw, I want him to come and just walk us through quickly the series of events that have culminated in today. So Fred, please join us and tell us, just walk me through, when did this whole Intim-Fojo thing begin and how did we get here?
Yeah, so Bernard, it started on the April 1st, and generally the Reverend Intim-Fojo, who is the MP for Ashanti South, actually held a press conference in Parliament.
In Parliament?
In Parliament, actually, where he told the pressmen present that basically that they've seen that this particular aircraft, Air Med flight, and Cavoc Air, they came in with some illicit substances. And so he believed that based on suspicion, the government needs to look into these issues. Then we go to April 1 again, where the president, the same day, issued, and he actually wrote on social media, on his Facebook page, asking him and the security agencies to collaborate and then find or unravel the circumstances surrounding this whole allegation.
So the president mentioned Intim-Fojo in his post?
Exactly. And he mentioned NACOC as well, which is the Narcotics Control Commission. And then he mentioned the NIB, which is the National Investigation Bureau.
Okay, so actually, just
collaborate with him.
So behind us is the president's...
the statement he issued.
My attention has been drawn to allegations made at a press conference by Honorable Member of Parliament Intim-Fojo regarding two suspicious flights arriving at the Kota International Airport. So this is the same day, April Fool's Day.
Exactly.
Kota International Airport, involving drug trafficking and money laundering. Government takes all allegations seriously, and to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation, have directed all relevant investigative bodies. So you are right, it mentions NACOC, police, CID, NIB, and National Security to immediately and fully collaborate with the Honorable Member so he provides all necessary information to investigate allegations and take action exposing any drug dealing. We maintain zero tolerance for using Ghana as a transit or final destination for drugs or drug trafficking. Then I made that. Okay, so this is president.
So from there, the government communication outfit actually did a video explainer where they tried to explain what those aircraft came into the country to do. One, they are saying that they came to change ties, and they also debunked the allegation that the Member of Parliament made alleging that drugs were involved. Some huge sums of money were also involved. So they basically debunked that particular allegation on April 3.
So this thing on the screen was put out by government communications.
Exactly.
So supposedly explaining what the aircraft came
into the country or landed at the Kotoka International Airport to do.
So this
one of the key issues is that the aircraft came because it had developed some fault.
So these are medical sort of planes that carry, is like an air ambulance.
Exactly.
So it wasn't here to do anything nefarious according to the government communications minister. So he put out this video.
Exactly.
And this is April the 3rd.
And that is one of the images on the screen that you can see that they are changing ties. This is from the government communication.
Wonderful.
Ostensibly trying to explain themselves and debunk the allegation that the MP...
But it didn't end it. So after April 3, more...
Then they went to April 5, where a heated debate unfolded on social media between the government communication minister and the Reverend Intim-Fojo. So
they were on social media. Were they on the same program, or they were using their...
No, they were using their personal handles, and Phyllis Kwachi was also... And this is where the media engagement started to get heated over a period of time. The government is trying as much as possible with the evidence they have. They want to now clear the air because they believe that this is the image of the country being soiled out there.
So they were trying to sort of debunk what Reverend Intim Fodjo said. But
out.
Intim Fodjo was also on air.
He was also trying to, as much as possible, make it clear that it was a suspicion, and he's urging the government or state agencies to now take up the initiative and probe further. Maybe they can find something. He doesn't have all the necessary tools.
So from your timeline, the video you showed me was actually released on April 6. On April 3, Felix Kwachi did a video where he came to speak on his own. So the video you showed me now was actually released on April 6.
No, that video was released earlier, before Felix Kwachi came out to also now speak to the issue.
Rather?
Exactly.
Was the same day?
On
April 6th.
So let's just go back.
So April 3, April 3 is Felix Kwachi coming in to speak to the public to explain what he believes to be the right thing. Then he released, go on. Then he releases the video of this aircraft that we just showed on April the 6th.
Exactly the case. So when you go to April 6th,
he released the
that's
video.
where you have the government communication minister released photo and video evidence showing engineers repairing and the damage landing
and
gear
April 6th is what day of the week?
aircraft.
Sunday.
Yeah.
But on Saturday, they also came on it because Umaru Sanda interviews
Felix on point of view.
No,
face to face.
He interviewed Intim Fodjo on Sunday night. Sunday night on CNR. On Saturday, the two of them had gone to News File. Sunday, he was on Sunday's News Bulletin. And then Tuesday, Felix Kwachi was on
face to face with Sanda.
I see.
Yes.
So April 7th, Fodjo defends his actions.
Where a series of media interviews, clarification, where the banter now started, where personal attacks and attention has been drawn to this whole issue. The government is trying to defend, and the minority is also coming in at this moment to say that they still stand with the. Don't forget, Reverend Intim Fodjo is the ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament, and so obviously whatever he says is on behalf of the caucus.
Okay.
And so generally on the April 8th,
which is yesterday now.
Yesterday, the ranking member for Foreign Affairs Committee wrote to the international community urging an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the arrival of the aircraft.
Abu Samojinapo. So he wrote this letter to the diplomatic community. Then
issues begin to unfold further, where we have officials from the National Investigation Bureau awaited Bagby's approval. Don't forget, the government said they've sent a letter to Parliament, to the Speaker of Parliament, waiting for his approval so they can go ahead to invite the MP for questioning. And that we are yet to see if indeed that letter has been written or it has been approved. As we speak, we have not cited any of such letters. Then on April 8th, that is where the Ghana Airport Company Limited was also drawn into this whole conversation. They came to also defend themselves. One of their officers was actually drawn into the whole issue, where people are alleging on social media that she is behind this whole thing, releasing information from the Ghana Airport Company Limited to the opposition. And so people are beginning to raise concern, and they came out quickly, issued a statement, and they clarified their stand that that cannot be, because the officer does not get involved in any of such issues. So that's the Ghana Airport
Company statement.
The statement.
So what time were you told about what was happening in Intim Fodjo? When did you get to Intim Fodjo's house today?
I got there at exactly 1:20 thereabout. We're actually using the office vehicle, but we realized that per how things were unfolding, I needed to get ahead of the vehicle. So I took an Okada and then maneuvered the traffic and got to the house.
And the house is where?
The house is within the Spinters Enclave. I don't know whether it's okay to...
So you got there at 1:20?
I got there around 1:20.
Did you see, what did you see when you got there?
We saw a number of vehicles and men who were actually masked. Some were masked, and some also had this AK-47. They were wielding gun, literally. They were there in their numbers, and they would not allow...
In the house or outside the house?
In the house, at the gate. So some entered, and they were engaging the MP. Some were on the compound, that is in the house. It's a gated house, so some were on the compound. And then there are those outside the gate which has to do with the police and some of the plainclothes
So somewhere
officers.
mask, somewhere police uniform, somewhere. Could you, how many people were there?
In my estimation, there are about 20 of them.
About 20?
About 20 of them.
Did any of them speak to you?
No, the only time they tried to confront me was when they saw me come with the camera and they were like, do not film us, do not show our face. And I'm like, well, you are here to do your work. I'm also a press person. The only thing probably I can guarantee is that I would film, just that your face won't come into the video. And that is where they allowed us to...
You entered the house?
We entered the house. But what really gave us access as pressmen or media people, basically, is the number of supporters that came in. The NPP supporters were there.
They were there before you got there?
Yes, they were also there in
How
their
many
numbers.
did you see?
Oh, they were over 50.
So they were also outside or in the house?
They were in the house. They were in the house.
So the security people were both outside the house and in the house?
They were there.
And then the party people were also in the house?
Yes.
So is it the party people who allowed you to enter the house?
When we saw them entering, and
we went
because
to
of
them.
their share numbers,
You
we
went with
moved
them.
with them to also
Were the
see
MPs in the house when you got
so
there?
So the MPs, the minority leader, Honorable Afenyomakin, was already in the room with the MP and trying to engage him. The only time I got to speak to the Honorable Atachia was when he came in a rush. And I asked him, oh, why was he really in a rush? He was like, he was called, he had a distress call to come in quickly to probably guide the MP.
So you got there at 1:20?
Yeah.
And by the time I saw you on it, it was around 2 o'clock. And you reported till 3:30.
Yes.
So it's like almost... So could you... Sorry, let's take up the story. And thank you, Fred Duho. Sit down, I'll call you back if I need you. So I'm sort of trying to get people... Before we get to the house, does his narration follow the sequence of what you know?
I think so. A few things may be missing in between, but generally, yes.
Generally,
that's
so
the story.
April 1, he makes the... This was in the presence of Parliament.
April 1, the minority press conference is addressed by him, and it's a very important clarification that needs to be made, because people want to create the impression that he was a man on a frolic of his own. That's not the case. He's a ranking member on the Committee of Defense and Interior, where we sit and do our press conferences. That's where he was with some of his colleagues, did this press conference and raised these suspicions.
So he wasn't alone?
No, he wasn't alone. He raised these suspicions. It is now consequent to that all of these issues have come up, which give us reason to believe that the government is on an agenda to, try and intimidate the minority caucus or cow us into submission.
How do these things work? Because there are so many sectors, and sometimes when I come to Parliament, there are so many press conferences. I've been in Parliament before where maybe 4 MPs say we are from Ashanti. We are doing a press conference on the road. So does the leadership always know what the subcommittee reps are saying to the press?
Yes. So usually what you do, like what we do on the economic committee, the last time we had our press conference, we'll do the draft, we'll share it with leadership, and then we'll get the green light to go ahead and hold the press conference. In fact, there are times when one of the deputy whips will be sent in to assist and moderate and manage the situation. There are times when just outside the chamber you will do it. So yes, it's a collective exercise. Leadership is in the know.
What is your recollection of what Ntimfo actually said on the first day? Because that was the same day the president responded in a post, which means that it must have been pretty serious.
And it's a very interesting question you ask, because on the first day he raised about 3 issues. One was the fact that in February, I think February 2nd or so, a video appeared online which claimed that the national security operatives had found some containers with money and gold. Later, there was a claim that there was fake money and gold. And there was a claim that a statement had been issued, and you couldn't even find the statement. You couldn't find who was owning up to it. And they were looking for one Alaji or something like that.
That was February 9.
And since then, you hadn't heard anything about that, such a severe matter. Then, number 2, which he raised while he led the committee to do this press conference, was about the almost $350 million of cocaine caught on the streets going or coming from the central region, which had also not been adequately addressed. Who is it? Has a person been arrested? Are people before court or what? And then the third one was these 2 different flights connected with Grand Canaria and Luanda, which had come into the country at various times and had stayed here for an odd period of time. And he raised the argument, leading the committee, that government needs to investigate these matters because there are suspicions associated with it, and let the public know. That's the context of what the Minority Caucus, through the Committee of Defense and Interior, put out on that day.
But did he also not say that Ghana was becoming a hub for cocaine?
Those were the fears that he expressed. Because you see, when you have these kind of matters, if you do not address them adequately, this is the fear that will crystallize in the hearts and minds of people. And that's why he invited the government to get into a proper inquiry into these matters and settle them. In fact, they even went further to call for a full-scale public inquiry or even a bipartisan parliamentary committee to look into these matters. That's the context within which they spoke on the very first day.
So in relation to the 2 aircraft, was he asking or he was claiming?
He was asking for, and that's why he said suspicions, and went further to ask for investigations to take place into these matters.
So the man is not here, and I'm not putting him on trial, but I feel like there needs to be some sequence in the logic of saying there are 2 suspicious planes. Why were they here at this time? Investigate, and then you conclude that then therefore we become a cocaine. I mean, how do you question and then conclude at the same time?
Between the intelligence which he put on the table and what you call the conclusion, he raised the issues of what the suspicions were. That associated with these things, these are the suspicions. You need to investigate, because if you don't investigate and get the right thing done, if there are people doing something funny, find them out and deal with them. Because you could be at the top in government and you don't even know what people are doing at the bottom. So you got to investigate and deal with them, because we don't want our country to become a place like this. This was an invitation to the government to do the right thing. You will notice that the president on that very first day gave a response that these are serious matters. They have to be investigated. And so he was asking a number of bodies to get involved. Just about 2 days later, then the minister responsible for government communications literally comes out with guns blazing, saying that there's actually no need for investigation. In fact, he used the word bogus at a point in time, and goes further to say that there's no substance in these matters, no time needs to be wasted on it, contrary to the president's instruction. And then he proceeds to provide answers or explanations from government. Now, why Ntim Fodjo came back was because a lot of those answers had gaps in them.
Before we go there, Kojo, if you read what the president said carefully, are you sure the president, because I think you guys can put it back on the screen, the president was basically calling on Ntim Fodjo to provide more information, which means that the president took his conclusion seriously. It's not the same as saying, go and investigate.
If you can put what the president said.
My attention has been drawn to allegations made at a press conference. It's right in front of you.
Yeah.
By Honorable Ntim Fodjo. Reverend Ntim Fodjo. So,
regarding two suspicious flights arriving at the Koska International Airport,
suspected to be involved,
because those were the words that he
in drug trafficking and money laundering.
Government takes all allegations seriously, and to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation, I have directed all relevant investigative agencies, including NACOC, CID, NIB, to immediately and fully collaborate with the Honourable Member of Parliament so he provides all necessary information to investigate the allegations and take all action necessary to expose any
pause there. Pause there. So the weight of, again, my understanding in common English is that the president places the onus on the MP that collaborates with him so he provides
That's not what
all
the president
necessary
was doing.
information to investigate the allegations and to take all necessary. So basically,
you see, in this country,
he's putting the onus on the guy.
But that can be the case. We are not in court proving somebody's guilt where you say he who alleges must prove. The president knows that in this country we have a Whistleblowers Act, which actually provides a legal framework for how you treat matters like this when the whistle is blown on them. In fact, it could be written, it could be oral. I have a copy of Act 720 here, and it spells out how, when you even make such a report to the office of the president, they have to take it. So the step that the president took was the right one, to invite the various bodies to investigate the matter, and in so doing, of course, collaborate with the whistleblower so to do. However, contrary to what the president said, his Minister for Government Communications is the one who came in, I think, on the 3rd, rubbishing all of this, saying that an investigation literally was not necessary. They had conclusions already that this was bogus, and that they were going to make a scapegoat out of Ntim Fodjo. That's where the dynamics changed. In fact, when I listened to that interview on Asempa FM, I was shocked. That if you have a whistleblower who has drawn your attention on behalf of the entire minority caucus to these things and is asking for an investigation, and the president himself in his wording is talking about these suspected matters, blah, blah, blah. And I very much believe the president wanted to proceed with Act 720 kind of framework. Why would you come out now seeking to attack him, intimidate him, threaten that you're going to make a scapegoat out of him?
Let's pause there. Why do you think the president chose social media if you believe he was working with...
No, because of the urgency of the matter, I think the president wanted to respond with speed.
I mean, have you seen the pace with which Kalisus Mahama issues statements? There's almost a statement every 2 days. So they do issue statements if they have to. The reason I'm asking this is, maybe the way a whistleblower presents under this act may not necessarily be the way Intim Fojo went, for which reason the president also chose this modus. Because if, for example, Intim Fojo had written to an agency to say there's something suspicious going on, it may have generated that type of reason. So I surmise that because Intim Fojo put the thing in the public domain in the manner he did, and also the conclusion that he put out, it sort of forced the president to also use this approach.
I don't have a problem with that. And I'm saying that what the president actually did was the right thing by stating that, therefore, what needs to be done is that this needs to be investigated. But I'm saying that contrary to what the president said on the 1st, on the 3rd, his minister came in rubbishing what the president had said, that an investigation was not even necessary. And that...
Did he give... And the basis was what? Based on his briefing?
Yes.
And that what he had found?
Yes. And that the investigation was not even necessary. It was a bogus matter. They had conclusions already. And then he proceeded to provide those conclusions. It is those conclusions that proved faulty. For example, the travel routes, the arguments about who went to Luanda, which aircraft came, etc. And it ended up raising more questions than answers. Mind you, the president's investigation has not taken place. When he raised more questions than answers, Intim Fojo came back, many other people came back, said, no, look at the flight number of this one. Look at this. The president's investigation hasn't taken place. Then the government comms machinery decided rather to attack Intim Fojo. Use disparaging remarks at him, calling him names, all on social media. I don't want to repeat some of them, even on television tonight. And proceeded to announce that they will arrest him. No longer going to do an investigation collaborating with him. They will arrest him and will do a public interrogation of him. I think that was said on your network.
That says that they will make the public see how the interrogation goes.
You see?
But could that not be transparent?
Oh,
that
please.
if they are going to interview somebody and they'll show
that is not the context within which they were saying. If you look at the chronology of the events and the attacks on him and the insults, etc. on him, it was obvious that there was this orchestration now to try and make a victim out of him.
Let's pause there and come back and take more thoughts on this. This is the point of view. My guest is Kojo Ponkrumah, live MP for Fasi Arabi, who's actually the ranking member of the Economic Committee. But he was in Intim Fojo's house today, and in the meeting with the officials, he'll tell us what happened in that meeting. All of that and more. Stay with us.